Drive.
AGOA is currently one of the topical issues being currently talked about. Uganda is currently carrying out fresh negotiations with the US government concerning the AGOA sanctions. Ministry of Transport has also launched digital number plates and the annual headline inflation has dropped. That and more is what is coming up in business today. And of course, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Rana Habwe, together with Pedson Mumbele and Samla Hanifa, bringing you insights on what has been happening in the world of business. Now, to begin with and looking at what's trending today, Today, the Ministry of Works and Transport has introduced the contentious digital number plate system with the aim of overseeing the country's transportation network. This system had previously faced opposition from the various industry stakeholders and lawmakers serving on the Physical Infrastructure Committee. They raised concerns about its high cost and credibility of the company responsible for its implementation. Take a look.
Hard delivering this baby eventually. As you possibly remember, the government of Uganda, in partnership with Joint Stock Company, we are to deliver this intelligent transport monitoring system. It's the system which is intelligent, but people think that it's an intelligence system to monitor, to do intelligence on them. It's a system which is intelligent, that it can tell you that you're tampering with our vehicle, you're changing the number plate. That's how hard delivering this baby eventually. As you possibly remember, the government of Uganda, in partnership with Joint Stock Company, we are to deliver this intelligent transport monitoring system. It's the system which is intelligent, but people think that it's an intelligence system to monitor, to do intelligence on them. It's a system which is intelligent, that it can tell you that you're tampering with our vehicle, you're changing the number plate. That's how intelligent it is. So it's not so much about intelligence as people know it, unless most of us have criminal intentions to fear intelligence systems. So we are delivering this intelligent transport monitoring system, which will provide a very, very good advantage in terms of improving what Damil talked about.
So Anifa, tell us what has changed. I mean, last time we spoke and when you were at the scene, you saw that these people were not fit to go on with the digital number plates. What has changed now?
Yeah, we've been following up this story since its inception. The committee followed up from where these said digital number plates are going to be manufactured from. Unfortunately, the committee did not see any outlets. Do I call them outlets or places where these digital number plates are going to be? We only found empty tents, and that was quite disappointing on the part of the implementers, of the people behind this joint company that is going to be in charge of this process, because this process was previously supposed to begin in July, and then they pushed it to October. Now we are in November, so they have launched it. But remember, in Parliament, this matter is still pending. It was not resolved. The committee, we did not see the report from the committee. We expected the Committee of Physical Infrastructure to give us to read for us the report from their investigations on this company, and most of the things that were discovered from the companies, that the companies are non-existent in the countries which they purportedly said.
The company that was contracted
in Russia and Poland.
Yes.
Of course, the committee did its investigations and they discovered it is not there. They said, okay, give us a dummy of a number plate, and it was nowhere to be seen. You saw all that. We only found empty tents, and when we went to Nakuru, the cameras that were showing us, they are only for the Ugandan police. And even the police itself was like, this, us giving these people access to our cameras, it's compromising the security of Ugandans. So that is why legislators are in protest.
And of course, it is on that note that members of parliament urge that the Ministry of Works is introducing a aforementioned system in disregard of the parliamentary proceedings. As the matter remains unresolved, they also contend the digital number plates of the minimal concern to Ugandans at this time, given that many citizens are grappling with significant increase in the prices of essential goods.
Not to get surprised that Ministry of Works can kickstart the digital number plate program, because it's a fake thing. We were in the committee. Amidst the investigation, the speaker stopped it. Then when the speaker stopped it, he said in his words that he had halted everything and he had referred the matter to the Committee of Budget and Finance, since it concerned money, before anything could progress. But this is a program, this is a project that doesn't exist. People went for benchmarking wherever they went. People went to do what, and nothing is there. There is no single number plate in Uganda. How would you begin launching something that is not existing? The company is not there, the cameras are not there, these are fake people. There is a fake company that is moving around that it wants to put digital number plates. How do you put digital number plates on number plates that don't exist?
One, it is not proper at all for Ministry of Works to go ahead and launch a program that Parliament has not yet passed or adopted. Procedurally, it's wrong. Secondly, I think among the necessities that Ugandans are looking at the moment is not the digital number plate. There are so many other avenues. We've incurred a lot of costs in installing cameras, and I would think if we could just connect those cameras to the internet, then it means we can be able to do surveillance of our vehicles. So the instance of digital number plates is just a funny cost to Ugandans. Personally, I don't support it because it's very expensive. It's one of extorting money from Ugandans. So it is not something good at all that we can really encourage.
Extorting money from Ugandans, is that right?
But I think putting like the MP has just illustrated. You see, going ahead and launch something, we don't know how true is this. I know you're on ground, but launching something that is not there. I've had the MP calling them fake companies, fake word, everything is fake. But how comes again the ministry comes out and start launching such programs even when they are not existing? And is I know the Minister for Works is General Katumbo Wamala. All these things that he's doing, do he first come to Parliament and launch them and maybe share certain knowledge with the Parliament so that they see how together they can come up with programs that are existing?
Of course, if they're bringing something into the country, it has to be adopted by Parliament. It has to be passed. Yeah. And the majority have to accept that, yes, the ayes have it, and it is adopted by Parliament, and then it goes on to be implemented.
Yeah.
That the same thing went through the committee. It stopped at the committee stage. After the speaker stopped these investigations, and he referred this matter to the committee on budget because it involves money. Ugandans for the car 700 and something 14 is it for the new car, and then 150 for the old plates, and then 50,000 for the border borders.
You can imagine.
Yes, they are looking at this money. At the time when Ugandans, of course, things are not going well. People are broke. And this thing has to be enforced.
In fact, don't say people are broke. Say the whole country is broke because if we cannot.
But I think they are deliberate about their action. Reason being is that if you look at the increase of traffic, you realize that people are buying more cars. I don't know if they are buying more cars or they are going back to bonds to replace. But the traffic has increased, meaning that there are lots of cars on the road. And for security precaution, I would second it. But for the adaptability and being realistic on what is on ground, and of course, in regards to what we have seen in regards to mindset change and people adopting to new technology, new skills and everything, there are a lot of gaps.
Yeah, the thing is, the idea is good, is great, but people who did benchmarking, they did not find this system working elsewhere. That is the first questionable thing. Like, you first have to question that. It is not working in Poland, where they say it has been working. It is not working in Russia, where they say the company is from. These are Russians. And when we went on the ground, these MPs asked the Russians, please show us a dummy of a number plate that you're going to give to us so that we see, and show us that chip. That chip, you say, if you tamper with the number plate, the chip makes noise, and at the center they know that someone is trying to tamper with the car. Show us anything. Give us.
Has the purpose or the objective of these digital number plates been understood? That's a question I believe we should just take forward in regards to this digital number plate issue. But still, in trending today, and now looking at the annual headline inflation, the monthly headline inflation for October, as measured by the Consumer Price Index, increased by 0.6% compared to 0.7% rise in September. The same finding from Uganda Bureau of Statistics indicate that the annual headline inflation for the year ending October 2023 was registered at 2.4% compared to the 2.7% for September 2023. I believe we do have details of this report.
Yeah, I did. That story is something that they compiled together, but of course we'll first have a look at the story, then we come back to studios and then give a breakdown.
That's right.
The headline inflation for October 2023 increased to 0.6% compared to 0.7% raise recorded in September 2023. The main driver was the monthly core inflation that stayed at 0.3% as it was in September 2023. This was mainly due to monthly service inflation that recorded a 0.4 raise in October from 0.5 raise recorded in September 2023.
Here we are looking at the short-term price movements. That's October 2023 and September 2023. So the monthly headline inflation rose or increased by 0.6% in the month of October 2023 compared to an earlier rise of 0.7% registered in September 2023. This was mainly driven by core inflation that increased by 0.3%, the same rate recorded in September 2023.
The annual headline inflation for the year ending October 2023 was registered at a 2.4% compared to 2.7% for September 2023. This was due to the core inflation registered at 2.0% in October 2023 compared to 2.4% for September 2023.
From our findings, it is actually a slowdown from 2.7% to 2.4%. So we realize the slowdown. I hope you know what inflation means. Persistent increase in the general prices of goods in a given period of time. So it shows that the findings show that the speed at which prices are increasing has actually slowed down. That's why we have a 2.4% compared to 2.7%. So the BOE is doing a great job, and it is still within the limit.
The annual headline inflation for maize flour, sugar, rice, mukene, fresh cassava, round onions, cabbage and Irish potatoes also slowed down. However, Petrol, diesel, electricity and water charges inflation increased. Tomatoes, Irish potatoes, beans, water, firewood inflation rose in October compared to September 2023. Looking at inflation rates by geographical location, Fort Portal registered the highest inflation at 4.7%, followed by Ginger at 3.9%, and the list was in Bali at 1.6%.
The CPI should be able to advise you to look out for alternative affordable accommodation. Anyway, that's why we compare with this CPI. And if the landlord increases, please run away and look for affordable accommodation. Why Fort Portal? Because it's a tourism city, it's close to it's a border town, it's close to Congo. So we believe this has played a significant part in having it as the highest center in terms of inflation. Thank you.
The construction sector inflation increased by 0.2% in the month of September 2023 compared to the same rate registered in August 2023. Notably, fuel, lime, nails, bolts inflation increased, and clay bricks as well as sand inflation decreased.
Short-term price changes for the construction sector inflation. The sector realized an increase of 0.2% in the month of September 2023 compared to the same rate that was registered in August 2023. That means also August 2023 registered an increase of 0.2%.
The annual construction sector inflation of inputs of construction of buildings was registered at 3.3% for the year ending September 2023, in the same rate in August.
I like what has just come from the Uganda Bureau of Statistics. So, at the moment, that's the inflation figures. They are saying, they're always advising us, by the way, that if you see inflation is the rate at which prices are going high. You get. So if you see things are getting high, prices are getting high, it is always advisable to switch. If you've been drinking, if you've been taking sugar, or how many, whatever.
Not speaking like the president.
you just put them aside. But as per the annual inflation, annual inflation as measured by Consumer Price Index, the findings are telling us that it has dropped. You see, we cover month to month and annual head inflation. Yes. You get? Yes. So for the annual headline inflation as inflation annually, it has dropped for 12 months. Yeah, to 0.6%. But if you look at the monthly headline inflation for it, it has increased. It has increased by 0.6 compared to a 0.7% raise recorded in the month of September 2023. So that's it. For the month to month, it has increased, and as they have told, but still there are other things whose inflation, whose rate at which their prices has gone high, have reduced. You get? Like they have said, matoke, beans, Irish, for them they have gone down. But when you look at electricity, water charges, they have also gone high, you get.
Fuel.
And again, fuel. Yeah. Now, if you look at the inflation rates as per geographical, they are telling us that Fort Portal recorded the highest inflation rate, then followed by Ginger and Bali, you get. So that's the reason they have said is because it's a tourism city and maybe very many people sleep there, and of course remember, demand for some of the products which are not even there, it will raise.
Wow.
So that's it.
Interesting. At least I'm not shocked for the fuel.
For the fuel.
We anticipated that. Electricity, I'm a bit shocked. For the produce, the food, the tomatoes, the Irish, and the rest. I think as we head for the festive season, we should anticipate more. Yeah. But
still, if you look at things like, how do you call them in English? Silverfish. Yeah. Silverfish, and it's now was recorded as a -5.4. I know even these people say Mukene, they did not write anything in English.
But it's silverfish.
It's silverfish. So if you compare between September and October, you'll find that rice It's inflation. The rice, the price of rice has gone high, has gone down, I mean to say, by 0.2%. That's then if you go to September, the same year, 2023, it was 5.2%. If you get to maize flour, if you compare the 2 months, you find that in October, maize flour, it recorded a minus 23.0% compared to September, where it recorded a 34.0%. So these are the findings coming in from the Uganda Bureau of Statistics.
Thank you. Now moving forward in what's trending today, you know, we had a jackpot of what is trending today, and we're going to be looking at the AGOA blockade. The talk of the nation, I mean, the news that everyone is talking about, as the government is now planning to start fresh negotiations with the US government following its intended move to strike Uganda off the list of the countries with AGOA privileges. Starting January 1st, 2024, these countries are eligible to export to the US tariff-free. These sanctions follow Uganda's decision to pass the Anti-Homosexuality Act, which America says is a tragic violation of universal human rights. I made up a couple of talking points that I would like us to benchmark on before we come back and make more sense of the story.
In October 2000, former U.S. President Bill Clinton introduced the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, to boost U.S.-Africa trade. This act allowed many sub-Saharan African countries to enjoy duty-free access to U.S. markets for over 1,800 products. Fast forward 23 years to President Joe Biden's statement and his expressed concerns about the human rights records of certain African countries. He mentioned that these countries, including Uganda, Gabon, Niger, and Central African Republic, do not meet the eligibility criteria outlined in the Section 104 of the AGOA Act. Consequently, President Biden intends to remove them from AGOA starting on January 1st, 2024. While Niger and Gabon are accused of violating human rights and democratic principles because of the coups that have settled in their countries, Uganda is accused of a controversial anti-homosexuality law which was passed in May earlier this year.
Biden says he's determined that the 4 countries do not meet the eligibility requirements of the act, stating in his letter to the leadership of the House of Representatives and the United States Senate that the Central African Republican government had engaged in gross violations of internationally recognized human rights and was not making progress towards establishing the protection of internationally recognized worker rights, the rule of law, and political pluralism. He raised similar issues in relation to Niger and Gabon that recently experienced unconstitutional changes in government. Biden says Uganda engaged in gross violations of internationally recognized human rights after Washington previously raised concern about Uganda's draconian Anti-Homosexuality Act signed into law in May that calls for life imprisonment for anyone who engages in homosexual sex while decreeing the death penalty for anyone convicted of aggravated homosexuality. Biden says that despite intensive engagement with the 4 countries, they had failed to address U.S. concerns about their non-compliance with the AGOA eligibility criteria. As a result, their participation in the program.
In 2022, Kenya's textile and apparel sector benefited from the African Growth and Opportunity Act, resulting in monthly exports of approximately 4.5 billion shillings, equivalent to 150 million per day, as per a study by the Institute of Economic Affairs in London. Meanwhile, Uganda, Gabon, and Niger exported goods worth 174 million, 220 and 73 million to the U.S. respectively. On the other hand, the Central African Republic is expected to be minimally impacted by AGOA's expulsion, having recorded only 881,000 in U.S. exports in 2022, according to U.S. government data. AGOA extension until 2025 aimed to give Ugandan exporters the chance to boost manufacturing, diversify their products, and increase exports to the United States. It also allowed them to combine the value of products from various AGOA-eligible countries for better trade opportunities.
Into AGOA arrangement, we now see families getting as much as 10 million per acre per year from coffee. So AGOA has been giving us an open market for our agricultural products on the American market, and the American market is the biggest international market. It's what has transformed China. China has its number one market as America and the second market as EU. Those two markets are enough to transform any economy. So singling Uganda out in the entire East African region to be exempted from that market will definitely slow down our economic progress. We shall see other countries now surpassing us economically. It will deprive us of the dollar, and it's the main currency of exchange. As such, our Ugandan shilling will further drop, and this will now render us uncompetitive when it comes to buying products from our neighbors. So really, we are destined for the worst economic position, and for this, government should come out strong and negotiate, reaffirm our.
We're now going to take a short break and we will return with a full analysis of that story. Stay with us.
Smart 24, driving business.
It's the Premier League, all on DSTV. All the goals, clashes, and moments. All of Rashford, Salah, and Saka.
This start is getting better.
All in the language of your choice. All in HD. Available on all these bouquets to choose from. To watch on all these devices. Get DSTV with an HD decoder plus installation and 1 month family for 89,000 Ugandan shillings. It's the Premier League, all on DSTV.
Luxury redefined at Seasan Hotel as you indulge in the splendor of elegant living fit for the royalty that you are. Step into comfort, pampering and blissful customer-centric service as you select from our range of comfy exquisite living quarters furnished to meet with your royal preference. Surrounded by scenic beauty, our tropical setting allows you to escape the glamorous ordeal of city life. Our ambient green gardens will guide you to a place of revitalizing rest. The 3-star restaurant caters to your palate, serving your choice menu ranging from exotic cuisines to local delicacies. Our chefs will serve you full course meals for a truly out-of-this-world culinary experience. Our fully stocked bar to whet your throat, from renowned global brand whisks, brandies, gins, beers and wines to our locally celebrated beverages, you will not lack for any brewage. It's an all-new experience in the East at Seasan Hotel. So visit today at plot 15 to 19 Spire Road, Ginger, or contact us on +256 751 719 960 and +256 785 354 614 for reservations. Seasan Hotels, luxury redefined.
People call me Koja Maracas.
Welcome to Love Uganda Limited.
Where we fix the hearts.
My wife, you'll see her head and you'll think, oh no.
Money have some real.
Say goodbye to paperwork and travel costs. Now every MTN customer can register to invest in securities anytime and anywhere with Zabu in a few simple steps. Step 1. Dial *292#. Step 2. Select option 1. Register with Zabu. Step 3, enter your full names. Step 4, enter your national identification number. Step 5, enter your national identification card number. In 24 hours, you will receive an SMS confirming your registration. Congratulations, you are now ready to invest. Smart 24, driving business.
Maybe to just give you a background on AGOA and how it started. Former US President Bill Clinton introduced AGOA as a special vehicle to promote US-Africa trade on October 2nd, 2000. And on one morning recently, US President Biden wakes up after 23 years of AGOA being and says, no more. I no longer want Niger, Gabon, and Central African Republic to be utilizing the AGOA privileges because they have violated human rights. For the other countries, the reason why he mentioned and is trying to remove them or sanctioning them or removing them from the trade bloc is because they have put coups within their countries which is against human rights. They are chaotic, they are in wars constant, like the story, highlighted, you can clearly see it, especially for Niger and Gabon. I mean, they've been making the headlines. For Uganda, quite the obvious anti-homosexuality, the law that was passed in May.
If somebody is caught in the action, has to be killed.
And of course, and whenever they mention it, they mention that aggressive penalty of death. Whenever they mention it, especially in those US, big channels, whenever they mention it, they mention that.
But we don't ask ourselves, do we need that market?
That's the right question.
That's the right question.
I thought the penalty was removed because they removed
up until now. It is still they're talking their mouth, and politics is perception. So if you can talk about removing a life because they have engaged, they've been caught with their same sex, then they would call that violation of human rights.
Yes,
but just like you are asking, do we need
this market?
Now,
or do we need to negotiate? I've heard some other leaders saying that we need to sit down with these people and then negotiate.
That's the
but
current.
According to the statistics I'm seeing here, they're saying with the growth, although they are saying that a year before the pandemic, that was 2018-19, AGOA initiatives grew Uganda's exports to $1 million US. $1 million US. That is approximately 4 billion. Now, in 2019-2020, the exports grew to 3.4 million US. That's 13 billion. And by close to 2021, they rose to 5.1. That's about 20 billion.
Now,
the question is, do we need them? Do we need to negotiate because we need this money?
That is even the little money compared. Yes, that is even little money compared to what is here. For the last,
of course, we need the market.
For the last
do you know
year,
that we export to their countries more than we importing?
No, we import.
We import more than
we import more than we export.
Just like the statistics
so who benefits more?
The trade balance is in negatives.
Okay.
In the last financial year, 2022, Uganda accounted for 174 million US dollars.
Okay.
The least or that could be minimally impacted among the crew that has been chased out of AGOA is the Central African Republic. It's about 800,000 and so. And then you have Gabon that is in 220 and then 73 million respectively. But let's look at countries that have utilized this market.
Correct.
Currently, South Africa is the biggest beneficiary with a tune close to $4 billion US. Where does South Africa rank in regards to being to one of the leading, growing, or developed African countries within the continent? That's a question I would ask you. Yeah. Kenya currently is the biggest in East Africa when you target AGOA. They have been moving and moving and moving. The other year they registered a growth of 7.2%, and in 1 month at peak they had 4.5 billion shillings recorded from AGOA, exports.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you ask that you do not need this market, that's a question of time.
Yeah, it's a question of time.
We are not even in the middle income status. Hanifa inclined the other day. When you are bleeding, you do not cut out all the sources. We need this. So negotiations need to happen by default.
So that means our ministers or the other stakeholders in this movement should have a great negotiation between AGOA and then Uganda and see how best we can work together.
Yeah,
because the truth of the matter, we need this market.
The fact that Ugandans are now embracing value addition, which the president keeps preaching about.
Yeah.
It is one way that Kenyans are taking up this because they have value addition. They have added value addition to their products. That's why they can easily export them to the US. But for us, we are just embracing value addition
as a strategic move to attain Vision 2040.
Exactly.
Why? Because we want to reach the middle income status.
Yeah, of course.
And the Honorable Batua just mentioned something about coffee farmers, that coffee farmers, to be specific, and have been trying to gauge on how other countries within the same trade bloc have been trying to do business, and they have grown. And remember, this is a supply chain. There is a farmer, there is an exporter. All that is money on the chain. Everyone is doing something.
Okay, that's money. But do you know that, and you did the story, you know the reason as to why you were blocked from AGOA? It's because of homosexuality thing. And you know how serious those guys are when it comes to human rights. I don't know whether homosexuality, but I don't know. Now, I wish we win it. I wish we win this negotiation.
What standard?
But the reason as to why they are blocking us, it is too big for us. For them, it's okay, but for us, it is big.
But the US should also consider that Africans have values. We have cultural values. We have cultural values and norms. They should come and do a survey on several Ugandans, and they should get their view on this bill, or rather on this law, to see whether they accept.
For them, they have not said that they don't care about your values. They are saying as long as you move forward with your values, stay out of our cocoon.
No, that is
go and
not
operate
fair.
your business outside, because we do not believe in that. For them, they believe in something else.
Fair. It is not fair because they are working with other countries where this law exists. They work with Arab countries where this law exists. They work with Qatar.
But do you have the same bargaining chip with Qatar and Dubai?
Of course.
You are poor.
Yes.
You need this money.
Africa is rich. Africa is rich. That is why the whites cannot leave Africa, because of the richness. We are rich as a country. We have minerals. We have
the fact that our reason could be extinct from what the other three are being chased out of. It's like when they chase you out of a classroom and you have been making noise, and the other one just beat up a student. I mean, you measure that. Anyway, they know best. But I feel like since the other ones have been in violations and have coups reinstated in their countries, and for us it's about the anti-homosexuality law, they're able to gauge the reasons and the impact on what this could potentially impact, especially the low-income earner and the people that were already benefiting, because I'm sure there are already some Ugandans that were already exporting through AGOA. Minimum is small or low. But of course, moving on with business today, because of course our time is well spent, and now we're going to look at what is new in company news. The Agriculture Committee has called upon the Ministry of Water and Environment to provide an explanation for the absence of dams in certain regions of Abim and Kotido. These dams were supposedly built by ministry to alleviate water scarcity in those areas. It has come to light that these dams are purely a theoretical concept and have been physically constructed. Let's have a look at this report.
somebody is spoiling your names, that you have taken that money somewhere else. You have taken to another place outside Karamoja. I don't know where.
No, the money is going to come from Germany. The money is not in the minutes of water. We issue certificates and they pay the contractor. So there is nothing like money was taken and no. And this is for specific.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I still plead with you, the reason those Kotido people attack you on Mr. P.S. in Agago is because they lack water. Plead with those Germans. Take more water to Kotido or any other place. You can even take it to Kapelebion because they even walk as far as Kapelebion. Or you bring it to Abim. Even Agago, even Kitgum. So please, let's fight for that money. Let it not go outside.
No, the money is going to
just
be used.
Just continue using the sweet language.
The money which is available will be able to do the 2 dams.
Okay.
Because of the price escalation.
Yes.
Because remember the time when we were designing this dam,
That's a confrontation between members of parliament over missing dams that are existing in theory. Hanifa.
So you present to a committee that we need money for this specific dam, and the money is allocated, and then these very dams are just in theory, but physically they are not there. And remember, these dams would be helpful now in the rains. Now that we have the rains, those dams would be collecting water for those people. Those people in Kotido, in Abim, in the northern part of the region.
The question is, why do they have to wait for the rainy season if they want to implement it? That means they want money. All this time they had not thought about that rains are going to come.
That is the irony there.
Yeah.
Now we still have issues in the country. We have issues of corruption in the country, because money cannot be allocated for such for a purpose and then it is not carried out. And then when you're called, you start saying the money is going to come from Germany. I hear the money is not yet there, but the money, you keep convincing people that yes, these dams are going to be constructed, and then you have a report where these dams are already accounted for. They even have names, but they don't exist. It is quite absurd that such is the state that we are living in, and
the MPs want money and the other ones are saying no. So I hope the money is not given in my defense, because they don't deserve it and they need. From what I have seen, I don't think that the money should be appropriated. Honestly. And then maybe should we continue with company news, or just discussing this story? Definitely. I know you have something new in tourism.
Okay, following the tragedy that happened in Queen Elizabeth National Park earlier this month, Uganda Wildlife Authority has refined the security in the park by introducing vigorous technologies set to monitor these places, and of course they have also started using drones to monitor the movements of tourists in the same Queen Elizabeth National Park in Kasese district. Let's have a look at this story and then come back to studio.
According to Hanji Bashir, the Uganda Wildlife Authority, together with government, have embraced cutting-edge technology to embrace their conservation efforts. This includes the utilization of Earth Ranger software, an innovative tool, and the deployment of drones. These technological advancements mark a significant step forward in their mission to protect and preserve the country's wildlife.
As an institution, we have ventured into the use of modern technology. For example, we have still cameras that you can see, but they are strategically positioned inside the park. If there are any illegal entrants, these cameras are able to tell us, and once we retrieve them, we're able to have a look at the footage and see if they go into the park without our knowledge. And I can tell you these cameras have helped us with some of the poachers who enter the park. We have a system called, software called the Earth Ranger. It's very good. It also helps us monitor the park and see if there are any illegal activities, if there are any people entering the park without our knowledge, or if there are encroachers or poachers. Mention it. But that's not enough. We now use drones that will fly over the park, monitor to see if there are any activities.
Community sensitization is being carried out within the 8 districts around the park. This initiative aims at fostering a sense of collective responsibility and active participation among local communities in safeguarding the biodiversity and ecological integrity of this iconic park.
Since this incident occurred, we have gone down to sensitize the communities, especially the army leadership is doing this, and the districts are also doing the same in every part of this districts which surround our protected area. Actually, here I'm talking about about 8 districts. All of them have put measures which go mobilizing the communities up to the grassroots. So with this, all this occurring around, I want to assure you this area is very safe, and I would want to let you know that as safe as it is, every tourist is most welcome to Queen Elizabeth.
With improved park infrastructure and enhanced patrolling, visitors can now explore the park with greater sense of security, fostering a more positive experience. As a result, the park has seen a notable uptick in tourism, positively impacting the local economy and supporting the conservation of this diverse and invaluable ecosystem.
As we saw people walking around in the park, especially our guide, who's paying very much attention, and we continued as soon as we saw that the Ugandan army, and we see the Ugandan army all over the park, which actually really makes us feel safe. We really can enjoy our time here, the wildlife, and especially the animals we came from. And also, my opinion to the park in general, we really like how the people are given the space and also the distance.
In a landscape where conservation and tourism must harmonize, these measures not only address security concerns, but also contribute to the broader goal of preserving this remarkable ecosystem for generations to come. Queen Elizabeth National Park, though tested, remains an enduring symbol of Uganda's dedication to safeguarding its natural heritage.
Security is paramount in those areas, like you've just had the story, the running of the story. Remember, we had, of course, a shock where some of the tourists were killed in the national park. So if they have imposed all these certain securities, like the use of drones to monitor tourists, I think that's very important. And you know how big this country is benefiting in the tourism sector.
Definitely. I think it's a step in the right direction. I hope that they won't remove that security patrol once the dust settles off. But I think it's a good move in regards to ensuring that tourists feel safe and welcome, in the country to come and visit.
It's true. That's very good.
Yeah, moving on in regards to the National Land Policy Review. Just yesterday marked the first day of the 3rd National Land Policy Platform Review, and the purpose of this meeting was to review the performance of the National Land Policy over the last 10 years of implementation as per its stated objectives, outcomes and results against the indicators in the monitoring and evaluation framework, especially designed for its implementation. The National Land Policy provides for optimal utilization and management of land and land-based resources, since most Ugandans are dependent on land for employment and survival.
The Uganda National Land Policy is a national policy of the Republic of Uganda whose main goal is to ensure an efficient, equitable and optimal utilization and management of Uganda's land resources for poverty reduction, wealth creation and overall socio-economic development. The 3-day National Land Policy Platform Review has begun to assess how well the National Land Policy has performed throughout the last 10 years of its implementation. In respect of measures to resolve and manage land conflicts, 57% of the actions planned to respond to indicators were executed. These include 2 assessments on land dispute resolution and the land governance framework and the cancellation of 4,707 land titles issued in Central Forest Reserve. The Minister of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, Judith Nabakova, says that with the help of other stakeholders participating in this review, will find solutions to land disputes and evictions.
There are things where we have achieved, but there are things where we are still performing below what would have been the minimum required standards. These 3 days, I believe, will be days for us to see where is the problem, what can we use to solve and make the recommendations that can turn things around, that can make an impact on the ground. So I believe that by discussing with all the stakeholders, good enough, most of the stakeholders are present today. I believe in these 3 days they will be in position to come up with concrete, practical recommendations that will help us to improve where we haven't been in position to perform to the expected levels. Where we have been in position, we shall maintain, but where we still need to improve, we have to think practically with all the stakeholders, using the whole of government approach. Because when you talk about disputes, land evictions, land grabbing, this calls for everyone's involvement, not only the ministry. The ministry, we are at the policy level, but remember evictions happen in communities where we have LCs, where we have government workers, where we have RDCs, meaning that the duty bearers in those respective areas have also to wake up and do their work as expected by government, but also from the communities they are serving.
Regarding emerging issues in respect of Uganda's land question, evictions on registered tenures are on the rise, despite presidential directive and sensitization efforts affirming nature of tenant stay on registered tenures.
That the judiciary has decentralized its services. You know, at every sub-county there is actually a magistrate. We hope that these land issues will sort of reduce, and also alternate dispute resolution. You know, that one is very important. Where a brother and a brother are fighting, bring them together, dialogue, solve the problem. The cases will reduce. So I'm seeing us reducing these cases for about 20%. And in the next, you know, land is a factor for production, but there are other areas, avenues where you can get income. People can use land as a trust, and they benefit, all of them benefit from the same land. So I see the cases reducing day by day, and I hope this will happen in the future.
Research by Transparency International Uganda on land and corruption during the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown shows that unlawful land evictions were also attributed to the rampant incidences where landlords were selling land without notifying tenants. As a result of land evictions, there is destruction of community livelihoods, including crops and other economic properties, as well as shelter. The affected communities therefore become food insecure, landless, and homeless due to these actions.
Well,
That's what we call the National Land Policy that is being reviewed. Remember, this policy was implemented in 10 years back. So the conference that's there, all the meeting that's there, of course, they brought very many land officers from different districts of Uganda who have gathered here in Kampala in one of the hotels here to see the performance of this national land policy.
To sip tea of Africana.
One of the, I didn't, anyway, at Africana, they're going to be there for 3 days. So they want to see how the national land policy that was implemented in 2010, how it has performed. Of course, you've had the minister saying that they're looking forward to streamlining what we call land evictions and land disputes in the country that are on the rise. That's how the report, that's what the report is indicating. So that's all about it's taking place when it comes to Uganda national land policy.
I hope that by the end of the conference they're able to resolve some of those pending issues like they said. I had one mention dispute resolution and stuff. And of course, you know what? People usually lose in land grabbing and land evictions. And of course, we anticipate, because it's a big challenge. Politicians taking over land of the other one, money to invest, and then they're saying this land belongs to this one.
People, you've not seen news of late. These days they're evicting the dead. You're buried in the city.
I'm telling you.
Yes, yesterday I saw people crying out. They're
removing dead bodies.
The remains of their loved ones are outside there. People want that land.
That's sad.
It is quite absurd that people have started evicting people who are buried in their land.
So hopefully that we are hopeful that after that conference, the 3-day or whatever conference, the resolutions are implemented, because that's the most important thing. Passing implementations and policies is pointless if the policies are not felt and implemented and they have solved the problem. But of course, we've come to the end of business today. Thank you so much for your company. As always, it's always a pleasure to have you. Always stay tuned and tune in on Wednesday, Monday, and of course Friday to be up to date with this. I hope you enjoy this conversation because we bring it to you best. Of course, good evening and goodbye from now.
Us.
Yeah.